Tonight we're special. So let me just reintroduce myself as usual. I'm one of the hosts. I am Mike. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and addict.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike. I am Travis. I am also a grateful recovering alcoholic addict.
We have a special show tonight, guys. So, and a lot of people are actually tuning in right now on Facebook. This is our first actual live, our first Facebook live event. And what better way to do it than, there's a couple of people who do podcasts that I know myself and Travis look up to that do Facebook Live. And why not do it at our first time and pop our cherry with them?
We feel so special.
For lack of a better term. So I want to welcome our guests. As you may know, with Seek Purpose Podcast. If you guys are not tuning into Seek Purpose Podcast, with both Travis and I have both been blessed enough to be a guest on. It was incredible, amazing. Look forward to doing it again. But if you're not plugged into Seek Purpose Podcast, what are you doing with your life right now? Seriously, do yourself a favor. Make sure you're following on Facebook, podcast platforms. Always amazing guests, and two just great women in recovery. Period. So you may know them as Seek Purpose. However, that's Brooke and Suzanne. So we're having them on today on the live. So we got a lot of people saying hi in the live right now on Facebook too. So we're going to take some questions from you guys on Facebook, as well as just kind of ask some of our own. And me and Travis also might ask a couple of awkward questions as well, and blindside you guys.
I'm nervous now.
Can't be done. Can't be done.
What did we get into?
Okay, get those guys.
Welcome to the show. So if you guys want to just take if you guys want to take a quick minute, and just kind of introduce yourself, and let you, for those of people that are on that have not seen Seek Purpose, if you guys just want to introduce yourself for a minute.
Sure, I'll start. I am Brooke. I am one of the co-founders of Seek Purpose Collective and one of the hosts of Seek Purpose, the podcast. We do a weekly show on Mondays and go live with some incredible people that are inspiring to us, that are building communities in recovery and really giving back and helping people. And yeah, we're just a platform for getting the message of recovery out and showing that there is purpose after addiction, and like life can get amazing. And I'm a mom of 3. I am married, which is a surprise to me. With my past, that should not be the case. And my background's in videography, and I just love media, producing technology. So that's kind of how I ended up starting a podcast with Suzanne.
Awesome.
Yes. Well, she did a great interview. I'm Suzanne. I'm the crazy one, actually. I should be the more mature one. But yeah, I have just love what we're doing. And that's exactly it. And what we do here at Seek Purpose is just do everything we can to help people find a place and find some purpose in their life once they're found their recovery path. We definitely don't steer you to the recovery path. That's your business. But what we do here is we like to be able to give a voice to many messages of hope and inspiration and spirituality. And for myself, I have been sober a very long time. This is very new to me because I was one of those ones that did not recover out loud in a social media aspect through Facebook, through YouTube, until I met my lovely friend here, Brooke, who was like, we should do a podcast. Well, what's that? And it was good because I didn't have to show my face, but, and then, I was challenged and I started getting to know a lot of people, and now it's like recovering out loud. I've always recovered out loud in my community, face-to-face, in my small little network. I think it's important to carry the message of recovery. But now doing it this way has been a lot of fun. And I sobered up young. So I was only in my 20s, early 20s. And then I am now 52, grandma, 3 children. I am married happily. I like happy endings.
Who doesn't?
I'm going to stop there.
You're welcome to continue.
Oh, okay.
This is this kind of show. And I just want to say too, you know, you guys having you know, a good amount of long-term sobriety time. I think it's awesome what you guys do. I really do. And I'm all about myself personally, just, you know, like that's exactly what it is finding their purpose, you know, after we put down the drugs and alcohol. You know, what was our true purpose? What were we created to do? You know, and finding that and following with passion, you know what I mean? Just a purpose and a passion. So like the word purpose alone means so much to me personally. I know that. I want to know, you know, what was it like for you guys? So like Suzanne, you mentioned you got it in your 20s. I wish I did. That definitely wasn't the case. You know, it took me till I was 32 years old. But, you know, I'm curious. I always like to know, especially people that have some time, you know, what life was like right before that turning point, right before things changed, you know, whatever it was that clicked for you. It's like, what was life like then for you, and what happened? You know, if it was a certain situation or just an accumulation of, you know, how life was when it became unmanageable. If you can just kind of tell me, you know, what it was like for you, and then and what happened to kind of change your mind to say, you know what, enough is enough.
Well, thanks for that question, because for myself, the story that I like to share the most is I never caught the disease of alcoholism in my using. I never thought it was the drinking and the drugging. I always thought it was him, her, my boss, all the problems on the outside world. I had an inability to be able to reflect with the chaos in my life to the problem with alcohol. Alcohol was my solution. Alcohol was my drug of choice, of course, because it made me get everything I ever wanted. I felt confident. I felt secure. I was prettier. I danced better. I screwed better. I did all that stuff better when I'm drinking. So I was a real party girl. But what started happening is I associated myself around people that were actually worse than me. And I often got into the situations that I was taking care of them. Like I used to say, get your shit together, because their diseases were, some of them were progressing severely to the point. I remember being in an office with two of my buddies, and the doctor said, you're going to die if you do not stop drinking and by the time you're 21. And I'm like, because he had bruises. It was just disgusting. Like he had a good looking guy, but he had these welts and these bruises because his liver wasn't working at 20 years old. And so I was like, that guy needs to get some help. He got sober and he started going to support meetings, and I started going with him as a good friend. And that's when I kind of started catching the understanding and the knowledge of what alcoholism was. I didn't even know what an alcoholic really was. I was just, honestly, I didn't know. Drinking and drugging and partying, I mean, that's what you do in your 20s. I mean, I don't care how crazy I was. The crazier, the stupider, the better. And I didn't realize that, so I caught, like your question is, when did you think you're an alcoholic? That was the question. And as soon as, and then drinking, I started realizing things were not as fun as I thought they were. And then I had enough courage to ask another drunk, which is in the literature that I have and I study, tells you that's probably what an alcoholic doesn't want to do, because that's when the truth came through. And then I drank again with that knowledge and that information from that other alcoholic. And it was hell. My drinking, the fun was disappearing. It was no longer happy, joyous, and yay. It was really, really ugly and dark. So my last night of drinking was all of those lines that I said I would never do started being crossed. And no question, the last time I drank on December 18th, 1991, every ounce of my body, I left my kid. I blacked out. I had police being called. I mean, it was insane. I was psychotic, and I was in my right frame of mind going, why can't I stop? I needed alcohol so bad. Everything that those people told me, I knew with every ounce of my body, I was an alcoholic. I knew I was an alcoholic the next day. I knew I was an alcoholic the day after that. By Friday night, what the fuck was I thinking? So that's my journey. And I never relapsed since thinking, what the hell am I doing? I'm not an alcoholic, because I learned the disease that I live with tells me I don't have it. And I've accepted that from the top of my head to the bottom of my toes. I've 100% have a disease, and it's not my business. My opinion doesn't matter. I have to treat it. So that's my little how I got here. I accidentally popped into alcohol or into a meeting, and I never left.
That was a hell of an accident.
It was a great accident. The only thing, I realized in my recovery that the God of my understanding, has used every single defective character and every bad thing I ever did, and it helped me to stay sober. And I was a people pleaser. So man, I had to stay here and prove to all you people I wasn't an alcoholic. I had a serious sex problem. Well, I met a guy. I know they say don't 13 step, but man, I needed to get it. So that was covered. And, all of the things that got me into trouble was really helpful keeping me sober, believe it or not. So it was good.
So I just want to touch on something. So Suzanne, I know exactly what you mean when you say, like, once you have that knowledge and you do go back out, it is poison. Like, it is so, like, it is no longer fun. I went back out after 10 years after having been in the program for that long, and like knowing what your defects are, knowing when you're catching a resentment, knowing when you're not sitting well with yourself, and having all this knowledge. Is probably one of the most painful things that I had to go through this process. But my question to you, Suzanne, is someone coming from someone, so you're what we're considering, I don't mean this in any bad way, as an old timer. You've been in the program. That's
messed up. Trav, that's messed up.
I am.
I'm kidding. Okay.
Where's the mute button? Where's the mute button? So being someone who's been in the program as long as you are, and how we're not supposed to talk about the program that we're supposed to be, that we were, which I try to also do the same thing. But what do you feel as far as when people are recovering out loud, but they also catch the stigma from people saying, oh, respect this or respect that, or, respect this tradition or respect that? Like, what is your personal take on?
Well, first of all, I like to try to respect the traditions of the program I work, and I'm not a spokesperson by any means. And I understand the whole purpose of ending the stigma is because I grew up in a generation that I had to stay anonymous. I had to, because I was criticized. I'd lose my job. People just didn't understand. So being anonymous was imperative. But more importantly, it can still be very dangerous because some people, the stigma is still there as you guys are starting your podcast. So if all of a sudden I come out loud and I say, oh, I'm an alcoholic and I'm a member of this program, and then the friend of mine, it's my personal choice what I do. It's not so much me, it's the other person that is trying to get sober, their mother doesn't know, the social services doesn't know, the police don't know. And they search all that shit now, and they're going to clearly see that there's a problem. And I've definitely been in a situation with people recovering out loud that have actually has affected them deeply with, for example, the social services who never knew that they went back out or never knew that had a drug problem with their children. And so there is we just got to be careful on respecting other people. But I 100% believe that we can't be so anonymous you can't find us.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my answer for that. I definitely respect the traditions, and I've learned from the program in all 12-step programs. There's nothing for me. Was all that was available. And when the courts and the hospitals and everybody else was saying the number one treatment for that particular disease is that program, I'm going to kind of listen to the professionals, and I'm a happy customer. There's no refunds wanted on this.
I'm a firm believer, like, what I hear when I'm there stays there.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I choose to speak about my experiences when I'm not there, that falls on me. So as long as I'm not talking about Tom, Dick, Harry, and what they're going through, that stuff. But for me, recovering out loud is I've been a part of almost 260 something overdose losses by friends. Like a good 20-something% of my high school class are no longer here. So me recovering out loud is what I do personally. Therefore, I don't talk about my program. I'll talk about basic things about it, but it is to show the person who doesn't know where to go that there is a place.
I like to say 12 steps. I called myself just on not more than a month ago, 12-step junkie, and proud of it. And I am, because I think 12 steps, it wasn't defined on where I went for my 12 steps. Because we just had John Baker pass away who started the Celebrate Recovery 12-step program through the church. And that's one of the fastest growing recovery programs out there in North America. And that was a real sad day. They've been around for 25 years. So when I say 12-step, I could be Celebrate Recovery, I could be NA, I could be CA, I could be EA. Well, who fucking cares what 12-step program it is? Just get some freaking program and some treatment. But I just don't choose to because all of those I have used in my recovery. All of those programs through the 12 steps I believe in. And I have definitely spent time in many of those. So I just want to respect the program that I'm in and not become a spokesperson for them, because I'm certainly not.
I think too, when it comes to social media, like representation of recovery is so important, because there is so much alcohol abuse on social media. There's day drinking moms, there's like mommy wine memes and all these kind of things. And so I think showing up and showing that you can be a mom, you can have a stressful day and you don't need a glass of wine. And if you have a problem with it, you can really live without it and enjoy your life without it. I think it's so important. And to have young people showing up sober and showing that life can be fun sober, that might not even have a problem, but just choosing sobriety. I think it's so important to have that lifestyle shown just as much as other lifestyles are shown online.
And plus, if you're starting to say, oh, I'm a member of CR or NA or AA or whatever, and if I have a miserable experience in social media and I'm not a very good reflection of that, somebody could die because they might be watching me and going, oh, that doesn't work, I'm not going to go there. And that's also why it's important not to specify. I can shoot from the right rooftops personally. I'm an alcoholic, I'm a 12-step junkie, but I'm not defining and becoming a spokesperson for any denomination. So out of respect for those programs.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think I respect the traditions. What is said there stays there for sure for me too. But I just know that me personally, like I have to, and luckily, see, like I can understand when people there was a time like, and even now, people have a certain job or they're employed through certain whatever their career path may be, where it would be frowned upon. That stigma surrounds it, and they have to be anonymous, and I respect that. Luckily for me, I changed fields and got into this field, so it only benefits by talking about it, and even in a profession, profession wise, and but for me it feels like I've been delivered from so much, and God saved me from so much and so many things, to not turn it around and use my voice and really try to chip away the stigma and really show people that there is no specific way, but there is a way, and show that we are living proof of that. I feel like it's a slap in the face to me. Like that's the least I can do, because for me, he gets all the glory at the end of the day. Period. That's it. You know what I mean? And not even me. I'm just I'm a vessel trying to do his work. That's it. But coming to realize, like in hindsight, when I finally did find an actual program too, because I found a few before and just half stepped everything, half worked everything, and wondered why I was unsuccessful. I didn't really thoroughly follow what the program should be. But when I finally did, and had that full sense of willingness and worked through all these things, like in hindsight, I'm like, damn, never left my side. Like that, all those things he brought me through, like, and to know that there is a purpose, and he's not done with me yet. You know, like the very last time, my last bottom was probably my last opportunity, without a doubt. So thank God I did get it when I got it. Yeah, I have to. I have to. Like, I feel like it's my obligation. It's my assignment to do that. You know what I mean? That's just me personally. But I respect anybody else's anonymity. I can only speak for myself, my experiences, and where I'm at, and what it took for me to get there. And if it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, whatever it takes to get another day and put your head down, you know, and get a night's sleep with a clear conscience is what it's all about. You know, for me, and just being better than I was yesterday. You know, am I always? No. But do I try? Absolutely. You know. Brooke, what about your turning? What was your turning point? What happened with you? When you
So the height of my addiction was actually when I was 18 years old. And I was trying like every drug under the sun. I'd crashed my car into a house, almost killed my best friend and my boyfriend. And one of the animals that was at the house died. It was horrible. And my solution to that was like, go smoke crack and forget that just happened. And I spent from that moment on until I was 29 years old trying to get sober, but having no idea how. And I would keep stopping and starting and stopping and starting. And finally, I was dealing with postpartum depression. I had owned a thrift store. I lost my thrift store. I got into a car accident. I was prescribed some medication, pain pills. I was drinking on those. I got a bunch of money from the car accident, which I spent on drugs, and I just kept going and going and going and going. I started up an affair with an old boyfriend who lived like a couple doors down from me, and like I just turned into this person that I absolutely hated. I was doing drugs I hadn't done since I was a teenager, and now I've got a baby. I had a 14-year-old because I also got pregnant at 18. So I've got a teenager almost and a baby at home, and I just felt like shit. And I felt like I was living a lie. I couldn't tell anybody what I was up to. And everywhere I went, when I went to work, I was working with kids. I'm like, oh my God, if they knew what I was up to, they wouldn't let me near their children. And I was working in the wedding industry, doing videography. And I was like, those brides would never let me near their husbands if they knew what I was up to. And I just felt like a fraud everywhere I went. I felt like there was no way I could be forgiven for all the things I was doing. If anybody knew, they would hate me. And I just got to the point where I thought, okay, I gotta die. Like there's no out. I'm done. There's nowhere to run anymore. I'm about to lose everything. And so my journey to recovery started with getting honest. For the first time in my life, I told somebody everything. And that was my mom. And she had a friend that went to a 12-step program and got help and got sober and had a lot of success. And she told me about that. And she told me that if I got sober, that she thought my fiance at the time, now my husband, would forgive me. And that was just that glimmer of hope that I needed at the time, where I was like, okay, maybe not everything is lost. But I was sitting there under like a pile of debt, ignoring all my mail, all of my messages, like just completely pushing away life. The thought of trying to claw my way out of this hole I was in felt impossible to me. So that little glimmer of hope was just like a breath of fresh air. I'm like, okay, maybe this is possible. Somebody else has done it. So I tried to stay sober on my own. That lasted about 4 days before, like Suzanne said, my mind started going, well, it wasn't that bad. Like, you know, you just have to drink less. You can handle it. You can control it. And thank God, instead of testing that theory out, I went and got help. And, you know, learning I was powerless over alcohol was a huge revelation for me, because I thought I was just like born a shitty person and I wasn't going to be good no matter how hard I tried. I thought I was cursed. I thought that, you know, like I wanted to be good. I wanted so bad to be good, but no matter how bad I wanted it, I would still end up drunk. I would still end up having an affair, trying to get attention, doing all these things. And I just couldn't figure out how to be a good person. And I wanted to be. So I just thought I was born bad. And I was just like one of these bad people. So I really learned I had a disease. I learned that I was powerless, that I didn't get a choice once I put alcohol into my body. And that was freedom for me. I reconnected with a higher power, which absolutely saved my life. And to this day still does. I tried to break up with God a little while ago and it didn't go so well. So But yeah, so I'm really just grateful for this life I've been given that's literally allowed me to get through any and all circumstances clean and sober and without causing more damage to the people around me, which is such a blessing. And I've been forgiven. I'm married to my fiance. I got to be honest with him. I don't have to live a lie anymore. And that's like such a huge thing for me.
I think that's one of the most beautiful parts, is just not having to live that lie, not having to cover up lies, and being able to come to a point, whether it's your spouse or like, it's crazy what recovery has done. You know, for me personally, like I'm at the point in my life where I can be my authentic self no matter where I'm at. You know, it can be in front of my family, it can be in front of my friends, it can be in front of my significant other, it can be in front of my pastor. Like I can be the same person everywhere I go now, right? Like when I was in active addiction, most of the time I just did whatever I needed to do to try to fit in or get somebody else's acceptance or whatever it may be. Like I carried a suitcase full of mess, like to fit in on any occasion. Like, you know, like that was huge for me to be able to, you know, figure out who I was and not need to feel accepted, but accept myself. And that I think was one of the biggest things in my journey, that I can be myself anywhere I go. And be proud of it and comfortable in my own skin, which I truly never thought was possible.
Mhm.
Really quick, just to get off the track, because I just have to do this. And this is one of the gifts of sobriety right here that I'm literally looking at right now. The people that have joined this live, you know, I have my mother in here, my father in here, my first cousin in here. And these are people that I lost communication with while I was out there in active addiction for literally years, like years. And to see them now in my corner and support what I do is like, you talk about a blessing. I mean, it's crazy how the tables turn. It's really, truly, truly amazing. And I think our relationships are stronger than ever. You know, and it's absolutely amazing. So my mom, my dad, Chris, what's up, man? So I just wanted to, anyway.
I've seen, you know, incredible people who've come in that have no contact with family for years and years. I'm just the miracles. Mine too. My dad, there was no contact. No, my family was broken. And it took him a long time. You know, I remember my 1 year cake, my dad actually came, which I was like freaking out, having panic attack when he even came, because I wasn't even talking to him. And he sat in that chair, and when they came around, he's like, oh, she's got a lot of changing to do. And it was just like, just the fact that he showed up was a miracle and a God shot at the time, because I wrote him off, you know, like there's no way, didn't matter what I heard out there, it wasn't going to happen for me, because I just didn't feel good about myself. Self-esteem, I didn't feel worthy enough, deserving enough, you know, the shame, the guilt that I lived with, even sober, was like, I just thought it was good for you. I'm glad you're all happy, but it's not, inside I was still breaking. But I kept going, you know, kept doing the do, and eventually those things started happening. And now, same thing. My showing my mom my TikTok. I'm like, you know, let's fuck around. Oh my God, only you, Sue. You know, like my mom and my dad, they know me. I mean, I drove around in that. If any of you guys see my TikTok of me driving around that stuffed animal in the mall, yes. I was with my dad. So he knows, wearing sober queen. He goes, oh, of course, you only use Sue. So you're right. So mom and dad who's out there, you know, supporting Mike and Travis and whoever. Oh, it's yeah, it's good. That message is, you know, has been so powerful, my family being involved, because others need to see that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
It's so funny how like the people outside of recovery find what we do so shocking, and like it feels so normal to have these conversations. But when I like go drop my kid off at school and I talk about something like personal with a person like dropping off their kid that's not expecting to have a deep conversation, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I was an addict and I got sober like 4 years ago, blah, 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 blah. What do you do?
I'm a dental hygienist. Yeah, I don't.
One of the parents was just opening a brewery, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, I guess I won't be seeing you then. Yeah.
No, he said he was going to make a craft root beer for me, though. So.
I think that one of the really cool things is like the further along you go in this process is that we're supposed to be more acceptable and tolerant even of ourselves, like to learn to laugh at the stuff that we've been through, because we gain this greater understanding that like a lot of us aren't even supposed to be here. So we can't do nothing but laugh at the situations, because we can laugh at them because we've gotten through them. But it's also about finding that inner peace. Like I love the saying, like, you walk 1,000 miles down the road of addiction, but it's only 12 steps out. Like I love that. I love that, because we can travel so far down this path, but there's a way out. There's a way out. There's a way out for people like Suzanne, who's beaten down that path for us, so that it's easier for the next person to come and find this, because we're not a glum lot. Like we have fun. Like I do more crazy, insane, stupid shit in recovery than I do as a mess out there. And it's fun to be able to have fun in recovery and not have to worry about, okay, well, if I get caught, who's going to bail me up? Well, actually, I have said that in sobriety, but it's still fun to have fun, because I know personally for me, like I did not get sober to be miserable, and I've said this before, is like one of the most common things I hear from the newcomer is like, oh, so what do you do for fun? It's like, not shoot up with melted snow water. I walk into my place of employment and just start filling up buckets of copper fittings to go return to the scrapyard. Like that's not fun. Like what part of like losing everything was fun? But it shows how dangerous our disease is, that we can convince ourselves, like you driving a house and crashing into a car. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, right. Yeah, driving out. Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
Right.
The details are fuzzy. I was a little high.
Like what part of that was fun, or you having to you struggling with your own substances and alcoholism and thinking that you were okay because you were the one taking care of everybody. Like that's the insanity that this disease will literally try to convince us of. And it's like, it's mind blowing that the longer that you stay, the longer that you hear, the more calm. And it's not to say that every day is like this peachy perfect day, but like the longer you're here, the easier things get.
Yeah,
it does. And I think it also too, part of my story and my message also is that because people are dying. This is I keep going back to this for myself. I know there's a big controversy over it's a choice, it's a disease. Yeah. What other people think is not my business. I just only have my own disease that I truly believe that my doctor has said I have a disease. It's called alcoholism, and it's never going away. I will die an alcoholic. And so I just choose to die a sober one. But through my recovery, I think a lot of what happens is people come in and get so much back so quickly, honestly. Within a couple of years, you've got tenfold of what you had before you came in here. And often months, and we've seen it on TikTok and other social media platforms, that people are getting shit back like, wow. And then what happens when you work a program, you're like, oh, that's why I drank. Oh, that's why okay. And then they get all that knowledge, or I got all that knowledge. And then I'm thinking, oh, I don't need to go to those stupid places and call those people anymore, because I never really wanted to be their friend to begin with. So all of a sudden I slip away because now I got the solution. It's nothing to do. All of a sudden, somehow in that process of my recovery program, I forgot that I have a disease and it needs treatment. And for myself, the treatment has been found for myself is through a 12-step. And I can actually have I can be sober, not drinking, irritated, that fucking bitch, or I can have sobriety and have fun and joy and be free. And that's the drug I like. And so that's why, you know, and a lot of people in recovery, and you might be sitting here listening right now, not in that happy, yee, I'm like 5 years and you're ready to go, like, you know, off yourself. I mean, I've been there many, many, many times in my recovery, but I continue to still treat and do the things I did day one. What did I do to get all of those things back in my life? I have to press reset in my days all the time. And Brooke knows on Wednesday or Tuesday, I had that day, 3 days ago, I was like crying and like, I just had to press the reset button and really just go right back to basics and knock everything out of my life for literally. And, you know, spend some time in quiet for 3 hours, literally. And because I was just in that place, I was going absolutely stir crazy mad.
Yeah, I love that you said that too, because, you know, in sobriety, we can get things back so fast. Like you said, like literally within months or, you know, in a very short period of time, you know, a lot of the material things come back, some relationships come back and things like that. And then, you know, we start thinking we're okay. And I think that's a lot of the time where the complacency sets in. And, you know, like I need to continuously remind myself what it took for me to get there. Like I can't lose sight of, okay, I got all this stuff back, but I got it because I worked through a process to get it. And if I forget that, like everything's out the window, you know, and, you know, and that's when it tends to go on the back burner, I think, for some people. And then, or they put too much, you know, they seem to feel like they get too much, but I got to work, you know, I work 8, 10, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't have time for a meeting or this and that. Like, you know, there's 24 hours in a day, you know, and I think people, and the other handfuls with their kids and everything like that, and forget, you know, you're only here because you stuck with the basics. You did what you had to do on a daily basis. And once we stop doing that, it's a dangerous, dangerous place, you know? Yeah,
like the purpose of the day has to be, for me, my purpose is to freaking stay clean. What am I doing for my how am I treating my disease today? Doesn't care about yesterday, don't care about tomorrow. Just, you know, I've got to keep that first and forefront on my days. So, and it's not perfect all the time. There's good days, bad days. As long as my son actually told me, he goes, you know, he's coming up 12 years sober, and he's like, my program, Mom, is like, as long as I don't pick up and I don't use, my miracle's going to happen. And it's simple, you know, and
yeah, and I love that. You know, you also said, you know, when it comes to people talking about is a choice or a disease, you know, like everybody's got an opinion. It is what it is. Like you said, you said it perfectly. I know personally, me, I have, you know, a progressive illness that left untreated will kill me, period. And if I don't treat it continuously, as I would if I had diabetes, if I had cancer that needs to be treated, if I don't do that, and for me, it's being spiritually fit, and helping other people, you know, living in steps that I work in 10 on a daily basis. If I don't continuously do that, I'll quickly go back to what I was doing, and I know I'll die. It's that simple. You know, so it's something that needs to be continuously treated. And whether you want to call it, and did I make the conscious decision and choice to pick up? Yes, I made that choice, you know, but it quickly turned into not having a choice. And I can't say how blessed and how beautiful it feels to wake up in the morning with a choice. I think that's one of the biggest gifts that we're given, is to wake up in the morning, not stress all night about the very next morning, how I'm going to get that first one, and wake up and literally sleep like a baby. Like there's two kinds of people in this world, in my opinion. I love saying this, and there's givers and takers, and I was a taker for a very long time. But you know, takers eat better, but givers sleep better. And for me, that's what it's about, is getting that night's sleep with a clear conscience, and being able to wake up in the morning without having to put something in my body to make me feel like I function normally. And even in early recovery, I still felt like a taker, though. And that's when things started changing, when I got in service and did all these other things, because I would go to even a meeting and say, okay, what can I take away from this? What can I take away from the speaker? What can I take away from the message? And I was still a taker. Like, it wasn't until I actually saw the value in service and helping others when things started really changing in my recovery.
Mm.
You know,
I remember sitting at a meeting and looking at my sponsor and being like, dude, I was like, this meeting sucks. And he looked at me and he goes, Trev, you have the ability to change your meeting at any given time. You know, he's like, all you got to do is open your mouth, you know? And
Actually, it's interesting with when the Zoom started, and I heard that left or right and center. My old man here, like, and I go, God, you sound like a freaking newcomer. I can't go to that when the chairs are too uncomfortable. I don't like her. Oh my God, the coffee sucks. You know, the meeting's too cold. I'm like the same thing. Oh, Zoom, I can't handle the speakers, the muting, you can't touch somebody. It's just like, holy cow. Like, I said to my husband, you're drunk and you don't even know it. So, anyways.
Hey, Brooke, are you ready for my question?
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
I think so.
And it's like, so we're gonna tone it down. So the very first video that I ever saw you make on TikTok was right after your younger brother passed away. And I know how that feels because I watched my brother commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And I know no matter how much time passes when something like that and you're affected by that goes on, like even right now, like my eyes just bringing it up, just my eyes automatically start watering. When you find yourself with guilt and the things that, what could I have done? What should I have done? What is your go-to when you're suffering from PTSD or anxiety or fears or just the feelings of going through that? Because when I saw that video, that was the very first time, like I found you on TikTok. You didn't find me. I found you. I saw that video and I cried because the tears that you put out in that video, I cry all the time. Mm-hmm. And so what do you do when you catch yourself in these feelings when you realize, because when you're going through them, I know for me personally, it's like losing them all over again, almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. Grief has just been the most difficult thing to navigate in recovery. Like I said earlier, I tried to break up with God. I tried to I was really mad at him because I prayed for my brother. Oh, fuck. I prayed for my brother every day. And I went to meetings, and when they asked for the person who's still suffering, you pray for them. And I prayed for him, and I tried to do it the wrong way. And I tried to do everything for him and drag him into recovery, kicking and screaming, and bring recovery to him. And I was really involved, and I was leaving my own family to be by his side, and that wasn't working. I went to Al-Anon meetings. I shouldn't have said that, but I did. I tried to figure out the right way to do it. I detached with love. I gave him to God, and I said, okay, you need to help him because I can't. And he didn't help him, and he died. And so I got really mad at God, and I thought, I don't like how you handle things. I don't want to put my will in your hands. I don't want to put my life in your hands because you don't do it right. Like, this isn't what I want. And when I was little, if I prayed for something, it would come true like that. I prayed for my dad wasn't able to come visit me one night. I was 5 or 6 years old. I hadn't seen him in a year. And he was he made me feel wanted. He was the only person in my life that made me feel wanted. And I just needed him so bad. And I prayed for his car to start because he said he couldn't come because his car broke down, and his car started. He called me back 5 minutes later. His car started and he came. And I had another instance where I was lost and I couldn't figure out how to get home, and I prayed, and a bus showed up that was rerouted that takes me right to my house. And then I prayed because this little baby wouldn't stop crying that I was babysitting, and I was so frustrated. I couldn't handle it. I was 12 years old. It was before cell phones. No one was answering to pick up. And I prayed. I said, God, if you make this baby go to sleep, I swear I won't have sex till I'm married. And she passed out, went to bed. And so I believed God was going to answer my prayers if I meant them. And I really meant them. And showing up at my mom's house, my brother was gone. And I lied on top of him, and I prayed for God to bring his life back. I'm please, I know if I pray, you're going to answer my prayers. And he didn't answer it. And then his girlfriend said she was pregnant. And we thought, oh my God, this is God answering my prayer again. He's going to bring my brother back. And then she lost the baby. So I was mad. I was really mad at God. And I tried to deal with it on my own. I tried to go to people to make me feel better, I leaned heavily on my support group. I called and reached out to people, and you know what was happening? No one was picking up their fucking phones. Like, when I needed them, they weren't there. And that's just because we're human and we're busy and life is life. And you know, there's not always going to be someone to pick up the phone. And, you know, I tried to rely on my husband to take care of me and help me through depression and all that kind of stuff, but he doesn't know what he's doing either. Like, and so he's letting me down, and everyone around me, I feel, is letting me down. And I'm just sitting in self-pity. And I finally broke. I was sitting just not even that long ago in front of a liquor store, watching people walk in and out and just staring at them and being like, they don't look that bad. Like, they don't look like they're ruining their lives. Like, I let myself play with those ideas. And then I realized in that moment, like, how desperately I need God in my life. And so I really started, like, I went back into my step work, and I started getting back into basics and praying and meditating and reaching out and staying accountable. Because I got scared, like, for the first time in my recovery. I really thought like a relapse was really possible. I'm grateful for this experience because, you know, it's really easy to take your recovery for granted. It's really easy to get complacent. And this has really shown me like how important this stuff is. Like, if I didn't have 4 years under my belt before this happened, and I hadn't built those daily routines, like, even when I'm mad at God, I'm still saying the damn third step prayer in the morning, because that's what I do now. I'm still making my bed and taking a minute to myself, because that's what I do now. I'm still getting out into nature and calling my support group, because that's what I do now. That's my habits. If I didn't have that in place and I wasn't practicing that every single day before that happened, I would be gone. There's no way I would be sober today. And if I didn't have the knowledge that I have from reading the book I read is Alcoholics Anonymous. Breaking my anonymity all over the place here, but whatever. If I didn't have that knowledge of these thoughts are going to show up, like, I read in that book that I'm going to want to put whiskey in some milk and drink it, and then I'm going to think that's a good idea. And I know that's going to happen because of that book. So I'm able to catch those thoughts and then pick up my tools. And that's such a blessing. I wish, like, I don't know how somebody in early recovery could do it other than leaning on a support group. And that's when I was just about 2 months sober, I lost my aunt. She was murdered, and like, I went to go check on her. The police were there. It was a really traumatic thing. And I thought, this is what I'm going to get to drink over. And I picked up the phone and I started calling people in recovery, and no one gave me permission to drink. And like, that saved my life. And I thought, you know, I'm just going to get to my 2-month chip. It was like 4 days away, and then I'll drink. And I got to that, and I realized I could get through one day at a time, and then one day at a time, over and over again. It's been 4 years. So yeah, the program saved my life 100,000,000%, and making it a daily habit, a daily routine saved my life. Because it's like so hard to pick up something new when you're in that pain.
Yeah.
That was a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for your honesty. I appreciate it. I do want to take a couple questions from people that are popping in live. We do see you guys. We're not ignoring you. So I just want to. So Christian's here, and he had a question. So, what are your thoughts on in-person meetings over Zoom meetings? Pros or cons?
I grew up in person meetings, so for our group of people that have been long-term, has really had a difficult transition. However, again, going back to those basics, and I got stuck into opening up Zoom meetings, and I was sitting as I'm in the screen thinking all those things, going, oh my God, this is so lame. It was so uncomfortable, so uncomfortable. And I also learned in my recovery, if I'm comfortable, I'm not growing. So I continue to come, and I continue to come. And I am telling you, in this last year, I have been to both in person since COVID and Zooms, and I have had the freaking best meetings on Zoom. And what I love about Zoom is when I used to go to meetings, you hear people that are incredible speakers, and it's incredible messages, and I love that. But what I love here is I get to see little kids and husbands coming in from work, and wives and parents and dogs and farts, and, you know, people doing cute things, you know, like, I get to see a message of 3D like I have never seen. I'm hooked. So anybody that says that they can't get stuff off, and then you're seeing people sobering up. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You can go, there's no excuse now.
Mhm.
No excuses now. 24 hours a day, I can get lifted up.
Mhm.
So that's just my thing. So both are good. I like the in-person, and but I still, I have to say at this point, I like the Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah. Brooke, what do you think?
Well, I was actually on bed rest right before we started Seek Purpose, before COVID,
So was
and
I.
getting to meetings was like impossible for me. I wish Zoom existed then, because then I could be getting support and help if I can't go. But I think Zoom is like incredible, and it's allowed me to meet so many people around the world and get a new sense of recovery. And yeah, it's definitely just been this really awesome experience. But I definitely need to get out of my house and like get into my car and get dressed and like be in a room with people at least once a week. Otherwise, like, Zoom's just too easy. Like, it's very convenient and I need to be uncomfortable. I need to like get up and leave my home and get out of my comfort zone. And just sitting in a chair sometimes is like, I get anxiety. I'm nervous about COVID. Everyone's wearing masks. It's weird. It's uncomfortable. But the fact that I make it through the entire meeting and I didn't leave and get up, I feel like this win afterwards. And I'm like, I'm going to be okay. Like, I can do uncomfortable things.
You know,
Yeah, Trav.
For me personally, like, if you're someone new in recovery, if you're someone in long-term recovery, is like, who cares what meetings you're going to? Because if you need to get to a meeting and you want to stay sober, well, find your ass in a friggin' meeting or find your ass in front of a screen. Like, I hate the phrase meeting makers make it, because meeting makers make meetings. Okay? People who work the program make it. People who make meetings make meetings. Like, so don't say, oh, I'm not gonna go to this because it's a Zoom. Like, again, it comes down to that. You need it's a daily reprieve. And in order to continue this on the successful program, you need to be doing something. So if it's a Zoom meeting, it's a Zoom meeting. If you can make an in-person meeting, make an in-person meeting. One of the things that's really cool about Zoom is, like Suzanne was saying, you get to hear stories. I know personally in my local community, I will sit there because my friggin' brain's a squirrel, and I will sit there as my buddy's sharing his story. I will be mouthing his entire story because I've heard it 1,000 times. Like, hey, Joe, you want me to go up there and tell your story? Because I've heard it like 9,000 times now. You got 35 years of sobriety. Yeah, you lost your finger. I remember that part. I'd probably say it better than you. So
It's so true. And yeah, that's probably my most hated phrase too, Trav. Same. Meeting makers make it. It's just like that's not the program of any fellowship. It's just to make meetings. That's literally just showing up, right? Not putting in the actual work. That's part of it, yes, of course. And then and you said it, Grace Suzanne, too. Like, there's really no choice. You can't tell me you can't make a meeting today. Like, you just can't. They're literally everywhere. And I love the connection in the rooms with people. Of course, the handshakes, the hugs, whatever it may be. Like, I need that. You know what I mean? Like, we're humans. We're built for connection. That's just how we are as human beings. Like, we crave, connection. And whatever that may be, like, blood makes relatives and connection makes family. And this is why we have such big families outside, in these rooms and things like that.
One thing with Zoom, with meetings, period, and this is just what works for myself. I mean, everybody likes going to all over the world, but for myself, what is important for me is I need to go and stay in one place. I have popped in and I have gone to, like, women's international meetings at 2 o'clock in the morning when I need them, but I actually have my steadies. And the reasons why that it's so important to be close to home, even in my Zoom community that's local, is because I don't get a chance to not see that change and that growth. And, I need to see those faces all the time for them to get to know me. because that's the big thing that people don't like about Zooms, is because you isolate, and you can isolate by not showing yourself in a screen. You can go all over the place and, oh yeah, I went to 5 meetings today, but no conversations, no showing your faces, and no really connecting. So for me, we have parties at our Zoom home group meetings because everybody gets to see each other and touch base, and yeah, there's chatter all over the place, but it's really, really important to have that connection. So if you're not getting that, you're not feeling that in that type of setting, then just pick one, be consistent. Like if I'm coming and I'm bawling my face off and you're sitting there going, oh my God, she's how many years sober? Oh, I don't know what she's got. Well, why don't you come around and see how I went from that to this? You know, I can't get that at a popcorn meeting all over the world, right? I want to be able to connect and get to know people. And that's where I find the best for my time in a meeting.
I think a lot of that too comes a sense of accountability. Like when you have a regular meeting that you go to and you grow these relationships and connections where people start to know who you really are, and they start noticing when things aren't right, or if you don't show up and you're getting phone calls, where were you? Like this, it's a tight, it's more tight knit where like, okay, you know, Joe shows up every week. You know, he hasn't been here in 2 weeks. What's going on with Joe? You know what I mean? Or like, you know, why has his screen been off the past 3 times? Or he hasn't shit. You know what I mean? Like people get to know you at such a deeper level when you have something consistent. Is it cool to bounce around? Yeah, sure. Find what works for you. But like try to pick 1 or 2 that people watch you grow, see you grow, and will see things in your, you know, see things when things aren't right and be able to call you out on it and hold you accountable. But I think personally too, also probably the best thing about Zoom, you don't have to wear pants. Just saying.
I'm not wearing pants right now.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's the beauty of Zoom too. Also,
can't agree with you more.
I am wearing pants.
I'm not.
I think the amount of hours that I've spent in a car going to meetings, and then I mean, yeah, I've been able to, yeah.
I remember I was running late for a meeting. I got out of work. Like they called me, but I was like jumping in the shower, and I got out of the shower and I went outside to go to the meeting, and then there's 5 of my friends, and I was like 30 something days, and they were like, you coming to I was like, dude, I literally was just jumping in the shower. I was running. I'm coming to the meeting. And that's, you know, especially at the beginning, it was great. You know, that connection, you know, like sometimes the best part of a meeting is the 15 minutes before and the 15 minutes after, you know, because that's where like my circle, my inner circle locally aren't people that cross in my normal world. I'm a 2-time felon hanging out with, you know, like one of the largest friggin' real estate brokers, or a guy who assembles assembly lines for breweries. And like, this is not my circle. Like, you were my prey, you know what I mean? And I was in active addiction. Like, I was seeking people out like you know, and it's great because it put us together. And one thing I always try to preach is, yes, social media recovery, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, is an amazing tool, but it is a tool. It should not be the primary tool. Recover locally, because when you recover locally, you have 1, accountability. 2, you can find, I don't care what meeting, if it's religion, you know, celebrate recovery, 12 steps, whatever. When you go to these things, like Mike was saying, people recognize your face. People can see when you're having a bad day. It gives you a chance to talk openly about what you're going through. And you also get to see that miracle and change. Like when someone walks in and they are straight pickled, beet red, sweating in their seats, like just, you know, they don't want to be there, but they're there because something told them something needed to change. And then 30 days goes by and they come out of that shell a little bit, you know, and 60 days goes by and now they're showing up early and staying up after to help, you know, put away chairs, and their skin color starts to return. And then you see them do it. Like, that is the gift. Like, that is our biggest gift that we get to receive in recovery, is to see the person, because when we see them walk in like that, it is a reminder to us of what we were when we walked in. And there's nothing greater than that experience of seeing somebody start to get it. Things start to come back to them. And it is such an amazing feeling because normally, especially in new recoveries, we're the last persons to see it. So when you're at a in-person meeting and someone comes up and pats you on the back and goes, man, you look really good, you know, or, you know, like any of that feels good. And it's that, like, we're always on this constant search of this reward or just for someone to notice, you know, and that's what's great about recovering local and having that accountability around you, or having that network where if it's okay not to be okay, but it's so great to be able to call someone up and say, hey, do you want to go get coffee, and just go sit down and have coffee. I found my love for hiking with a guy who was like, hey, you want to go to the woods? You know, I gotta go shoot off my gun. And I'm like, bro, I'm a convicted felon. Can I even ride in a vehicle with you when you have the gun? And he's like, yeah, I think you're okay. And I'm like, okay, well, as long as you say so, let's go. And we went and drove, and he was like, hey, let's hike this mountain. And like, I hiked up it, smoking a Marlboro, and he's like, you may want not want to do that. And I'm sitting there dying. And when I got to the top, I was like, this is friggin' amazing. You know, like, it sucked going up the mountain, but once I got to the top of the mountain, it was like, I need bigger, I need more dangerous, and I need more, you know? And
once you're at the top, it's most important when you're at the top is, this is what happens is you get a few years, and when you start sitting there saying, and I hear it all the time, oh, I haven't seen you at meetings, I haven't seen you around. And they're like, oh God, I already know what they're going to say. I hear, you know, I basically know it all. That's when you really got to go back and help the ones that are climbing up that mountain, because, you know, so many, like, our disease lives in selfishness. And when people go away and not come back to help that person is when it gets really scary, because it is said 50 to 60% of people that get recovery are going to relapse. Not that relapse has to be a story. I don't have that story. I don't, but I know many do. But often it's always the same story. I was told when I first came in, this most important message in the room is not only the newcomer, but the person coming back. You listen to that story, and thousands of people that I've listened to, that story is the same damn story. They don't go down the mountain to help that new person, because both of them can get saved, right? Two people are stronger than one. Yeah.
Yeah. And just using an analogy, just climbing, like, and reaching down for the others and bringing them up also. But it's like, you know, in life, me personally, in my recovery too, like, you know, my goal is goal wise climbing mountains, right? Like reaching different goals and stuff along the way, in a sense of using the word, just, you know, climbing for more. And then, like, you think you get to the point, to the peak of this mountain, and then you look forward, like, I have to have another one ahead of me with a higher peak. Like, if I'm not constantly working towards another goal or working towards something to improve myself, like, if I'm not progressing, I'm regressing, and I'll be quickly back on the path of relapse if I'm not continuously working on self-improvement and trying to be better than I was yesterday. Just the sense of accomplishment triggers that same dopamine for me that, you know what I mean? And
that's why I keep seeking purpose.
Yeah, exactly, right, exactly.
Seeking. It was supposed to be Seeking Purpose, by the way. The original name was Seeking Purpose, and that we couldn't fit the ing in that little logo, so it got cut.
I like it.
We say all the time, you know, when we, especially with Climb for Recovery, is like you were saying, Suzanne, when you get to it doesn't end when you get to the summit. Like, no. We say all the time, okay, so we just got to the summit, what do we do? And all the guys will be like, all right, let's go, let's find the next mountain, you know, let's find the next one. And yeah, and it's so important. I remember my first sponsor, he ended up by passing away, and like, I was just stalling on a certain step that mostly everybody stalls on. And I was just stalling on it. And he's like, you know, Trev, do you know why you do this? And I was like, yeah, you know, it's like self-reflection. I gotta do this. He goes, no, because once you do this, that means you've walked out of hell. And when you walked out of hell, that means you gotta go back and carrying buckets of water, you know, because this thing of ours, the La Soba Nostra, okay, only works when we bring the next person,
Mhm.
you know, and then that person brings the next person, you know, like I have grand sponsors, you know, like that's when you know you've been around, you know, that's when you know that you've been in a program that I work long enough, is like, I have like a great grand sponsor, you know, and it's like, it's awesome to see how that the roots are planted and how the branches go out, and then those branches set that, it's absolutely amazing. So I have a question from Sal. He asked me if I am starting a boy band.
It looks like it. I'm just saying, it looks like it. Do you guys even recognize Travis? I mean,
No, it's throwing me off.
So yes,
He's looking pretty fine.
I'm starting a boy band. We're gonna call it the Backseat Boys.
Okay.
And Mike's gonna be the lead singer.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for dropping that on me. Awesome. Listen, I'll tell you right now, we're not gonna sell any records. So, and also, so I want to say too, also pretty much across the comments we're getting right now. So just to go backtrack a little bit, it's pretty much unanimous that no one's wearing pants right now. So just to put that up. And no, I don't think any of us want Travis standing up. Sorry, guys. So I got a question. So on the lighter side of things, so me and Travis did episode 3, which you guys probably saw, and some of you watching might have seen, where we took a lot of questions. You know, some were really, you know, to make you think, and some were some good deep questions, and some were just funny, and just odd and strange. So one of my favorites, and I want to ask you guys this question, is what would you buy at the store to make a a cashier uncomfortable? And
What
it
would
was
I buy
it was
at a store?
to make the cashier feel uncomfortable.
Cashier out. Like if you really wanted to freak out the cashier woman, what items would be in your checkout to do that?
Okay, so I have a story about this.
Oh boy.
My girlfriend worked at a sex shop when I was in high school, and I had a fake ID. We'd go to the club all the time. And so we had just left her job, and I had bought a giant pink dildo that suction cups to the wall, and then like a couple of vibrators and stuff. And so we get to the club, and the bouncer's like, "I need to check your purse." And I'm like, "What?" So he opens it up and puts his hand in, and
man.
like he screams, and he's like, "You need to warn me." So not a cashier, but
Oh man.
We were trying to sell a house at one point. It has not a cashier, but my real estate agent was trying to sell my house one of my homes when I was sober, and my son, who's the 12 years sober almost. Anyways, when he was 12, he didn't want to move. So what he did is he took a Lego and Barbie, and he took my dildo and strapped it to his little car. We'll go there. We won't even go with the rest of that scene in the middle of the floor. So yeah. Anyways, he thought it was a torpedo, but
it is a torpedo. If any kids are listening,
embarrassing. My realtor, who is she'll knows the story. She said that was maybe not a cashier in a store, but let me tell you, trying to sell a house with that in the middle of the floor.
So my better half in the comments says, Mike knows all about the whore drawer. I asked this question because when we were asked this question, Travis was so fast to answer with the strangest things. It was concerning. Like it was so concerning.
What did you say?
Oh my God, I don't even remember. I think it was a 50-foot garden hose, 2 55-gallon drums of KY, 3 rolls of duct tape, maybe some lipstick, and like, I don't know, 2 gallons of
You sound like you've really thought about this. Like you picked that back up pretty quick. Oh, I don't remember. Oh, it's 55 gallons.
not 50 gallons, 55 gallons.
Yeah, because
it's a little too specific.
Okay, I purchased one before. So
we're on the metric system. I don't even know what a gallon is.
So in prison, it was some type of thing, and I think I was going through psych. So like the first time I went to prison, I was trying to get meds. So every time the psychiatrist would walk by the door, I would start talking to someone on my shoulder, trying to get meds. So the shrink walks up to me and he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. But if you can get this little monkey to stop talking to me, that'd be great." You know? So he asked me, I was going through like these therapy sessions, and it was like some worksheet where it was like, okay, if you were, and this is going to sound totally weird, if you were going to get rid of a body, how would you do it? And I wrote this paper on how I would do it. And the psychologist was scared shitless because I had the most perfect way to hide a body. And this is it. You guys want to hear? So listen, if I had to get rid of somebody, okay, I would put him in the trunk of my car. I would go to the graveyard. I'd find where fucking Uncle Todd was being buried, and I would dig his grave 4 more feet deeper. I'd stick the body in it, cover him, and then the next day when the funeral comes, they bury Uncle Todd. Nobody's looking under Uncle Todd for fucking neck or whoever the hell is gonna be there, because he's gonna be under somebody else. That's brilliant. I don't care what you say. Make me stand up. Think about it. Who's gonna look under Uncle Todd for neck?
That's true. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
That's a whole different show. And we actually had him on our podcast called Mike Brown at Dark Poutine. And he really goes really deep into those types of stories of people who actually do that.
I don't know how I come up with these things. Some call me brilliant, others call me both just call me Travis.
Well, you're not alone. When I was a young child I was traumatized as a child, which many of us have been. And I thought I was going to kill my narcissistic stepmother. And I definitely love crime dramas today because all the different ways I was going to murder her and kill her and bury her, I didn't get that one on my little repertoire of ideas. So shit, that might have happened. But that's why I love crime dramas today, because I'm like, all of the they've all been caught, all my ideas. But anyways, she's alive. I mean, no, she's not alive now, but I didn't do anything to her.
It wasn't Suzanne's fault. Yeah. A note to self: don't piss off Suzanne.
No, don't.
No, don't.
Yeah, if you guys would have seen before the show, she threatened me. Just saying.
I didn't see nothing.
That was my kinky side. Stop it. Okay, we're getting out of control, and we always know when Suzanne's going to go start doing that.
So I have a question. So I got it, and I'm not sure how much more time you guys have, because I think Suzanne, you have a women's meeting too tonight, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I don't want to keep you
guys.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you guys too long. But I do want to ask you this. Both of you with different amounts of time and everything. I do like to ask people, just for people that are in early recovery or in long-term, whatever it may be, when you find yourself, facing difficulty, a struggle, or, you feel like you're just out of balance with whatever it may be, what's your go-to? Like, and whether that be reaching out or, taking a walk, calling, whatever it may be to you, like when you're facing something in your recovery and you think things are a little slippery, you feel at risk, like what's your go-to to try to handle that situation?
You gonna go, Brooke?
Sure. Oh yeah, sure. Don't give me time to think. Off the top of my head, pizza. No.
Netflix.
I think the biggest thing is back to basics. So I know I'm gonna go squirrely sometimes before I actually go squirrely, because I'll like stop making my bed and just watch too much TV, start binge watching Netflix and just avoiding responsibilities and stuff. And then slowly but surely I start feeling it and stop being able to manage life. And so what I usually do is try and get there before that happens, before I start feeling it, and start going back to basics and just making sure like the least I can do every day is like make my bed, make sure I prayed, meditated, called somebody in recovery to talk to, and connected with my supports. And if things are really difficult, the phone is my best friend. Like if I am really, really struggling, I just stay on the phone. I keep calling people. Sometimes, most of the time it's people in recovery, but sometimes it's family. It's like whoever will pick up the phone and just sit with me there so I'm not alone. That really helped me through early recovery, and it's still something I use today. It's the connection with God is like the most important thing, but sometimes it's like it's just not there. Like if you don't practice it every day, sometimes it's just not there, and I need to get another person on the phone. And helping somebody else, self-pity is like my number one drug today. Like I will sit in self, especially with what happened with my brother and everything. Like I deserve to feel like shit right now. I'm just gonna sit and feel sad, and I'm allowed to do that because like I just lost my brother. I'm in grief, so I'll wallow in self-pity, and then it's hard to get out of. And the best way for me to get out of that is to call someone and ask how they're doing. One of my sponsees, somebody in new recovery, somebody I usually don't talk to, like just reach out to somebody and talk to them and find out how their day is going, instantly fixes self-pity for me, like faster than anything else.
Yeah, I love that you said that, Brooke, because the whole time I was out there, all I was trying to do was find something to get outside of self. That was my addiction. It was escaping reality and getting outside of my own skin by whatever it took, with whatever it took. And little did I know, the easiest way for me now to get outside of self is to help someone else. And it's amazing how fast our problems go away, because there's always someone that has it worse, always.
Yeah, I think I agree. Helping out. I just said I had one of those times for me. One thing I have learned being in recovery, going through them, when you're first new, it's uncomfortable. You don't know what to expect. The unknown's terrifying. But when you've been in the recovery for a while, I've actually get kind of excited. I don't like going through it. It's kind of like going through something really painful, walking on glass, someone said. It just hurts. But just allowing myself to go through those moments, because it's like my recovery, my sobriety is like labor. For those women that have given birth without any drugs or anything, that ring of fire, yeah, that's what I view things as when I'm going through tough fucking times. And so I just know that if I just hang on, it's just today, I really break it down. Sometimes it's just a second. And sometimes it's in my car, parked down the street, screaming and crying for 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes or a half an hour. Like literally, like I do that lots because it's important to just release whatever it is, allow myself to cry, give myself permission to feel. And after I do that, it happens so quickly once I just surrender and allow the feelings. Don't drink, don't drug, not food, not any of those other things. And my miracle always happens. And like I said, this week, after I did that on Tuesday, I went from horrific feelings of, oh man, it was just not a very good day on Tuesday, overwhelmed, feeling inadequate, like all of my disease was going, come on, that monkey was freaking, no. And doing those things I just mentioned, I was like, by Tuesday night, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, hi. Like my best drug, I say my drug of choice is just staying clean and sober and working a program. I tell you, it's like so exhilarating, and it's available for freaking free.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing you said that, because it just goes to show you, to anyone that's listening in recovery, or maybe that may be not yet in recovery, but no matter how much time we get, there's gonna be hard days. There's gonna be tough times, and just like Travis said earlier, like it's not all peaches and cream like every day, like, but the best part about it is we have people in our corners to help pull us up when we associate with the right people. I have to constantly, and I say this all the time, and I just love to remind people of this, that like even, I always was with the wrong circle when I was out there, and now I have to always constantly, reevaluate my circle and who I'm around and who's in my corner. And just because they're in my circle doesn't mean they're necessarily in my corner either. There's a difference. But if the people in my circle, don't want more out of me, don't expect more out of me, don't push me, don't encourage me, don't inspire me. Like if I'm I feel like I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong fucking room. I'm just not going to grow. And like, if I look at the circle and they don't do these things, I'm not in a circle, I'm in a cage, I'm not going to grow. So I think it's so important to surround ourselves with people that push us to do better, and hold us accountable, pull us up when we're down, and we do the same back.
there's only one in the room that is, I always tell all women I work with, I'm going to tell you, if I am not on your step 4 list eventually, then I'm not doing my job, first and foremost. Second of all, the most important relationship that will ever be built is the one between you and your creator, and whatever you choose is not my business. So, because when those times come out in the car, I wasn't sitting in a meeting, I wasn't reaching out, I was just painfully hurting at the moment. So, but my God was there, and I definitely have a constant conversation and an incredible relationship over the years from somebody who didn't even believe in God. Like you said, the J word or G word, I'd be gone out of the meeting. But it's just, as much as I've changed from when I first came in, so is my relationship with that creator. It just continues to grow and get better and better and better. And that ultimately is the best drug available by a landslide.
Amen.
It's the most powerful, the most magical, the most empowering, the most courageous thing you could ever get yourself involved with is finding that for yourself, whatever that is. So.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, too, there are going to be times when, when I ask you guys, what's your go-to to do these things? Like, there's going to be times when no one answers the phone, when no matter how much writing you do, no matter how much, listen to music, no matter, like, these things are not going to help, and no one's going to be there answering the phone one of these days. And I think that line of communication is so important because it is spiritual. It's about being spiritual fit. Like, for me, it personally is. And when I think of spiritually fit, I use the word fit as an acronym. I got to remind that, I'm working for him. I'm remaining in him. He remains in me, and I let him work through me. So for him, in him, and through me to stay spiritually fit. So that line of communication is huge. Yeah,
like the sponsors come and go, people that you support come and go. What's going to happen if we put all of our eggs in that basket and then all of a sudden something happens to them? Then what?
Exactly.
People, like, that's why for me, my job as helping someone is to try to get them connected to something other than humans walking on the planet, something you can go to that can actually sustain and help change your life. And that's a message that's not talked about early in recovery because we don't want to scare the newcomer. We don't want to talk and scare the newcomer. But, I love in the literature that we read, it says we will be talking about God. So, anyways, we could be here all night. I just love you guys.
Yeah, we love you too.
I have to pee.
Yeah. So I think we've kept you hostage long enough.
That's okay.
That's why you don't wear pants, Suzanne.
Next time I'll just bring my daughter's potty and I won't wear pants and we'll be good for another 2 hours.
Just to put this out there really quick, Wish has all kinds of crazy items on there, which you probably know. So they have these things called Shiwis. So you can look those up. That might be helpful if you ever need to pee in a pinch if you're a female. And I'll just leave
what
it
are they
that.
called? I am so searching that up.
Are you guys sponsored by Shiwi?
They better give us a sponsorship. It's called a Shiwi, so you can be standing up.
If you guys go back to our original, we actually talked because I told Brooke about a squatty potty.
Yeah.
And she's like, what's a squatty potty? I'm like, you don't know what a squatty potty is? Oh my God. And then we were like, okay, squatty potty, you got to start sponsoring our podcast now.
Yeah.
They haven't reached out yet.
So you ladies obviously have other commitments. What is Seek Purpose planning? What do you guys have coming up for the future? Let's hear it. We're excited.
Big stuff. I think this year we've really just rocketed. Like, we couldn't have imagined this being where it is today. We started as a really local podcast, and then with the coronavirus happening, we were forced to go online. It opened up the entire world to us, where we were getting guests all around the world. And so we really started getting serious about this in November, and things have just been getting better and better and better. Coming up next, we have Just for 24, which we started last year. It's an online cyber celebration for sobriety, where we're all just kind of getting out and getting together and sharing in this journey and living just for today, just one day at a time. And that's on April 24th, which is 4/24. It's very clever.
It is. It is very clever.
It's not just for us, it's also for family. So anybody who supports or loves somebody or is in recovery, Just for 24, stay sober and go live. And we want to come together as a collective community to take that one day, because we've got April 20th. If there's any addict that doesn't understand what April 20th is, then, you know, so ours is April 24th. So April 24th is just for 24. We're all family members and everything in support of people who are living with the disease of alcoholism or addiction. We'll be celebrating together on that day. And we're going to have a live event, and we're going to have a moment of silence at 4:24 in 2 time zones for those that sadly have lost their battle. But it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a huge lineup, and we're going to have these boys, I think, are going to be coming back.
Yeah, we got Mike confirmed. Yeah. We got to get Travis on board here.
Yeah, I'm there for sure.
Mike or Scott will let me know what I got to do.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to tell Travis when and where to show up.
Scott's in the comments just roasting me, telling everybody I use a Shiwi. Scott is a owner of Plan for Recovery. I'm founder, owner, whatever. But Scott's a owner. He was the first one who jumped on board, and his job is to find where I am on whatever social media platform and roast me.
He does it well too. He does it well.
If he never ever needs a stand-in, I would gladly take on that job.
Guys, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on. I appreciate it. I can't wait for just 424. Guys, start using the hashtag and stuff on TikTok and everything. Just the number 424. Get that out there. Make sure you guys tune in for that. Please make sure you subscribe to Seek Purpose Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, podcast platforms, everywhere and anywhere. Make sure you guys stay plugged in there. And Suzanne, I want to thank you. Brooke, thank you so much for coming on. We greatly appreciate it. I couldn't think of any better fashion to go for our first actual Facebook Live podcast than with you guys. It's what you guys do, and I'm always tuning into you guys and try not to miss an episode. So we're grateful to have you on. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Look at my little heart here.
And before we let you go, we've put up gifts for a lot of creators in recovery, actually, including Recovery Mike. We got Recovery Army, Climb for Recovery. We just did one for Ronnie, and so we've got a whole bunch coming. And they are all up on Instagram, TikTok, so you can use the gift stickers and tag your favorite creators.
If you go to Seek Purpose Family, and if you're classify yourself as a purpose seeker, then you can go to Seek Purpose Family, and you will see everybody's hashtags in the family, and we are growing. So, or just Seek Purpose, you'll see all the, those Recover Out Loud, all of those GIFs or stickers were created. Gosh, 2 years ago? It's one of the first things we kind of got involved with. So thank you for using them. Tag us so we can actually, give you shout outs. That would be amazing. If you're using those tags, just give us a shout out on your socials. That would be great.
So one more thing real quick. You guys just opened a public Facebook page for Seek Purpose. You want to tell everyone who's watching where they can go to find that?
Yeah, if you want to hang out on Facebook with us, we do live shows on Mondays. We're on a little bit of a break right now, so we're going to be replaying some old shows for you, but it is at Seek Purpose Now on Facebook, or you can find us on Instagram, Twitter at the same handle, and then we're also on TikTok. I'm at Sober Lifestyle, and Suzanne is at Sober Lifestyle, and that's kind of where we just get to be goofy and have fun.
Yes, so definitely goofy. Definitely goofy, FYI. Yeah, having fun. That's the most important, I was told. If you're not having fun in sobriety, you're going to be drunk.
Yeah, you're not doing it right then.
Yeah, you're not doing it right. So
rule number 62. Right, Trav?
That's right, yeah.
That's right. We're not a glum lot.
Yeah. So just before we go, guys, please make sure that you tune into episode 5 with us. Also, Trav, do you just want to tell them what our goal is?
Yeah, we're supposed to have B-Rain on. Try to get a hold of him today. He usually sometimes misses 1 phone call, sometimes 2 phone calls. 3rd phone call, he usually gets guilty. He feels guilty. He likes to call me and tickle me and stuff like that. But the plan, hopefully next week, is to have B-Rain on. And we're excited. We're also going to have Kalichi on coming soon. Dear friend of mine I'll be meeting up with here this Saturday at a Black Balloon event the Real Young Swag, who, Brooke, you love the song that I sent you by him, Scarred Forever. He's going to be coming on. We're excited. We got all kinds of people coming on, but Brooke and Suzanne were our first guests.
Yes, yes, Brooke and Suzanne popped our cherry. So
Oh,
thank you.
yeah!
We will never forget.
I've actually had the pleasure of popping a lot of cherries. Like a lot of our guests that come on had never been on a podcast before. It's been so cool.
It's been fun. I love having firsts, not gonna lie.
Yeah, right. And look at this handsome guy down here.
I know,
Yeah.
what the heck?
Jeez, whole new man. So
Us
dapper.
crazy Canadian girls.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much. And
Yes, we love you
again,
too.
just a massive shout out to all of what you guys are doing. We just love it, and just blessed to not only just have you as guests, but as really great friends. So
Absolutely.
give Jen a hello.
I will.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
She's in the
Travis,
chat now. Yeah.
Keep being you. I love it. Thanks.
So thank you again, guys. And guys, everybody that's on live right now and that was on live, thank you so